Leave that rose bush in the store. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. And today is the day for me. I am starting my tomato seeds. I am a little bit early. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm early. I'm only like the beginning of the week early. My 6-week mark is actually Saturday, but I want it out of the house. It has been raining and raining and raining and cold and windy, all of that for the last few days. So we have some sun today. Now it is still windy, but that is why I'm in the greenhouse, because it's still windy outside, although we have some small collard leaves or medium-sized collard leaves that I'm probably gonna harvest in a little bit too, because we can have that with dinner. But y'all, it's just been so cold and rainy, but I was like, we are getting out of this house today. We're going into the greenhouse. Yes, I have the heater on, but at least I'm outside. So also, if you're new here, 6 weeks for me, I am in Virginia, zone 7B. I'm near the Richmond area. So if that gives you any kind of context to where I am, in case you are near me and you're trying to figure out what should I be sowing right now, we will be 6 weeks away from our last frost on Saturday. Starting these seeds a little bit early is not gonna hurt anything, and so I'm gonna do it because I want it to be outside. I want it to be outside, y'all. So I'm gonna tell y'all what seeds I'm planting, but I also have my book where I plan out my garden out here, and this is how I'm gonna know how many seeds I need to plant of each tomato. Here's the thing, I'm always gonna plant at least 2, even if I only need 1, because in case something happens to one, like it doesn't make it, succumbs to like dampening off, or anything can happen when I plant it out, it could die. I want to have a backup, and then if I don't need it, I'll just give it to someone else. But I'm just going to show you, my tomatoes all go into bags, and so I have counted up the bags I have, also the bags I'm going to need, but I found a lot of bags, so we probably won't need as many bags as it shows on this page. But this is my planning for my bags. It's very simple. How many bags I have, what tomatoes or peppers I want, what bags that it is going to need to go in, all of that. So with that being said, we are ready now to plant out our tomatoes. We're almost done planting, almost. I still have a little bit left. So the garden beds, the Vego garden beds are not planned out. Although, you know, my larger Vego garden bed is pretty much a perennial herb bed. And so with that being said, if those things come back up, like my sage, I think verbena, marshmallow, if that comes up, then there's nothing to plan, because we're just gonna let it do what it does. But we also have one more bed near the chicken area to plan out. So, but for the most part, we are pretty close to planned. I still need to put my notes down here at the bottom, but we're pretty close to planned. But thankfully, we're already planned for the tomatoes, so we can go ahead and get those started today. So if you're new to gardening, and if you're not new to gardening, it's good to have a plan. I do not stick to my plan completely, because I may get out into the garden and be like, well, no, I'd like to plant some here, some there. So with that being said, let's talk about the things that we're gonna plant at 6 weeks. So this is how I make sure I have everything together when it's time to plant, and I don't have to go and look for them. So this is my 6-week bag, and I had an 8-week bag, I had a 10-week bag, I have a 4-week bag, I have a 6-week bag. And then if I'm lucky this year, and I have been keeping up with it, putting these seeds back into my seed storage case, I've been doing really good with that this year. So let's talk about what we're gonna plant. And we have a mixture of things. Tomatoes is my biggest and most exciting thing, but we also have flowers that we need to plant out. So let's run down these tomatoes real quick, and then we're gonna get into the flowers, and then we're gonna get into planting. Great White, Homestead, Ace 55, Early Girl, Mortgage Lifter, Amish Paste, San Marzano, Cherry Black, Isis Candy, Brad's Atomic, Sun Gold, White Tonsil, Dr. Weich's, Pineapple, Brandywine Yellow, Black Beauty, and my absolute favorite, Cherokee Purple. So those are all the tomatoes that I am planting. I am not planting multiples of the varieties for the most part. When I say that, I'm not planting like 5 or 6 plants of one variety in most cases. Now that Cherokee Purple, we're gonna have a whole bunch of those. My cherry tomatoes, maybe 2 plants each, and then the larger slicers, maybe 2 plants each. So I'm not planting like I normally do, where I have 4 and 5 of a large tomato. I just don't need to do that. I am focusing this year more on paste tomatoes and red tomatoes because I want salsa, I want sauce, I want paste if I can really learn how to make that. I tried it last year, it didn't work out as well as I was expecting. I want things that I can save and that I can preserve. And so the things for fresh eating, like the cherry tomatoes, which I can dehydrate and keep those as well, and also the slicers, I eat those mostly fresh during the season. They can be used to make sauce. Any tomato can be used to make sauce. You just may have to cook it down a little bit longer, but any tomato can be used to make sauce. But this year my focus is more on cherry tomatoes. Next, let's talk about the flowers we're gonna plant. We have quite a few flowers that we're gonna plant. The Country Romance mix of hollyhock, Ford Hook Giant hollyhock. I also have Sage Seeds of hollyhock, Kilimanjaro White Marigolds, Cupid Mix Zinnias, Envy Zinnias, Candy Cane Mix Zinnias, Coxcomb Big Zinnia Mix, Burpee's Best Marigold. I absolutely love hollyhocks. I think they are so beautiful. They do come back. I want to say they're perennial or biennial. I'm not 100% sure. It is said that they flower in the second year. My hollyhocks have flowered in the first year, so I'm really not sure about that. In my experience, they have flowered in the first year. Zinnias, beautiful flowers. They're nice, big, bushy flowers, like very full flowers, and I like flowers like that. And of course, marigolds are said to help with pest pressure, so I always put those in the garden as well. So with that being said, those are the flowers and the tomatoes that we are planting today, and we are going to get right into it. I think that having flowers in your garden, this is my personal opinion, makes the garden more welcoming. That's number one for me. I like to see pretty things. I love to be able to use cut flowers to bring them inside, and the hollyhocks and zinnias are just really beautiful flowers. So those are the flowers that we're going to plant today. The other thing that we're going to do today, I had a subscriber, me and her swap seeds, is I'm going to do a winter sowing of some artichokes. I think that we still have a good enough time. So today we are in, I think, like the 40s, but we're about to get more snow. More snow, y'all, and we're going to be down into the teens. So I think that I have time, so I am going to winter sow those. Maybe not on camera, but I am going to winter sow those too today. And I will link down below the video to me winter sowing in case you're interested in it, but I do think that I still have time. So we'll go ahead and fill up the trays. Then I'm going to write out the tags, and then we're going to get to planting. And right now, I am going to use the small cell trays. I am going to have to pot up, y'all. I'm gonna have to pot up. Reason why I'm doing this is because I have other things in the house that are growing out, and they will go out before the tomatoes and all of these flowers need to go out. And then I can pot up into those, but running a little low on my supply of trays, which is fine. Well, of the larger trays, you know, I don't like potting up. And so with that being said, I try to do it in a large tray as much as I can so that I don't have to pot up. But I'm not going to be able to avoid it this time, and that is fine. Things happen. I'm going to show you all the seedlings that we had that have been in the smaller greenhouse. I moved them outside yesterday because the wind was wild. The greenhouse is definitely still standing, but it was definitely swaying in the wind. I was like, oh Lord, let me go get my seedlings, because not after all of that work and they falling on the ground. So that was my literally like the first thing I did. I woke up to, like, I could hear the wind and the rain, and I was like, oh my goodness, my seedlings. And when I went outside, true story, the shelves were tilted, but because I had that tote in there for storage purposes, thank goodness they did not fall over, and not one of the trays fell out. But they are all out in the garden now, and I am thinking, when I say in the garden, they're still in their trays, but they're sitting out in the garden with the elements. With that being said, true story, I think I'm gonna leave them there. I'm gonna let it snow on them and everything, and I'm gonna hope for the best. I have to start learning for myself what works in my backyard. I know some things, but one of the things that I'm always on a toss-up is, can I leave them out here? Can they survive in the greenhouse in the cold? So I need to find that stuff out for myself. Now, should I take some of them in the house, or should I bring some of them in this greenhouse? Probably so, and maybe I will. But something's going to stay out there, because I want to know for myself what will work and what will not. Because if you are not new here, you know I don't like to do this the hard way. I want to do it the easiest way possible. And if in my backyard, in my microclimate, I can leave things out in the elements, I want to be able to do that. So we're going to do that, and then of course I'm going to give y'all an update on what happened, but it's just something that I need to know for myself. I just do. Now, I'm not doing this with tomatoes or peppers or anything like that. The pepper seedlings are still in the house. Matter of fact, the other things that we planted out that I said I was going to leave in the greenhouse, I did, but I have not had any germination. So I took them in the house, and amazingly, they started to germinate. Well, not amazingly, because I kind of knew that they are not going to germinate until they have the correct conditions. And so it's just been too cold here. It's just been too cold here for them to germinate. So I now have calendula germinating. I believe I have asters germinating in the house. So we'll just leave them in the house until the weather says, yeah, it's okay for you to take them out. And that'll maybe be next week. It definitely won't be this week because, like I said, we have snow Wednesday and Thursday, and then it's going to be in the teens at night. None of those seeds are going to germinate in that type of weather. So I took all of that in the house. So yeah, that's all in the house now. These are going to go in the house too. The tomatoes were never going to stay out here. Never, never, never. And I may, because I'm using these small trays, I may only need one tray, and so that's cool. We love that for me. My onions, I am planning to get those planted out next week. As long as the temperatures don't look drastic, I'm planning to plant those out next week. I'm not covering anything at all, but that is my plan. I have to get them out in February. It's been my best success. I've said that before. So they have to go out in February. I need them to grow. I want the onions. I want to make onion powder with them. I want to freeze some. I want to be able to have onions in the off season, I guess you would call it. So that is what I'm doing. So next week, we'll be out in the garden, cold or not. We'll be planting out onions. I may be bundled up. I'm hopeful that I don't have to be bundled up. I'm hopeful to have one really good day that I can get out in the garden. And then hopefully I can also plant out the other seedlings that I have. But I'm going to show y'all those seedlings too. All right, let me finish filling up these trays, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back and we're going to plant out. Got that done. So now we're gonna write out the tags. Also, I would like to say, if there's anything that I'm using in this video, check the description for the actual link if you're interested in it. It's pretty much always down in the description box. And so I just want to say that so that someone said that it's starting to feel like QVC over here, which, you know, people can feel the way they want to feel, but I do it because I don't want people to feel like I'm not answering them if I don't get to my comments. But instead of calling out company names, I will just make sure I let people know that it's down in the link below. Now, I still do sponsor content, and when it is time for me to do a sponsor, I'm going to say their name. But to avoid doing it, I guess, in every video, I will make sure that I say check the description below, because everything I'm using, it should be in the description. Anyway, so as it relates to how I'm going to plant, a lot of my seeds are older seeds. And so if I want 2 plants, I'm going to plant 4 seeds. If I want 3 plants, I'm going to plant 6 seeds. I did not buy any new tomato seeds this year. Very proud of myself for that. So with that being said, that's what you're going to see me do. Oh, and what I'm doing is I just have my book propped up right here, and I'm going down the list and writing out the tag that way. So this is also easier than having to go through each one of your packets to write out what you're growing, because I matched this to the things that was in that 6-week bag. So works out really well for me. So now we have everything set up and ready to plant. I am doing the tomatoes all in one because I'm going to have to pot them up regardless. I'm doing 2 things of the Kilimanjaro marigolds, 2 things of the Burpee's Best marigolds. So I'm doing 1 line for the hollyhocks. These are my 3 lines. I'm doing 1 line of coxcomb. Then I'm doing a whole tray of the zinnias. I love them. I think they are beautiful. The way I have it set up is my book is here. My book is going to tell me how many of each plant that I want. And so of the paste tomatoes, you can see that they, you know, I have more paste tomatoes than I have of the other types of tomatoes. I've also said whether they're determinate or indeterminate, and that's going to help me know where I want to plant them when it's time to plant. And so right here, I also say I need to plant more than what I actually want because I'm starting some for friends. But that is my planning. This was the pepper part, but this, we've already started peppers. I just need to know how many bags I need. So we have our tomato seeds here, we have our flower seeds here, and now it's just time to plant. And so that's what we're about to do. None of these seeds have any like special rules, like surface sow, or they need to be stratified, or anything like that. They don't have any scarifying rules, anything like that. So we're just going to plant them. And so the way that I normally plant, and y'all have seen me do this before, but there are new people out here wanting to learn how to start gardens. So when I start my seeds, I'm gonna do this pretty much every time. You can skip past it if you don't want to see it. So I just do like a little indention, and the seeds don't need to be any deeper than like 2 times the size of the seed. So I'll just do like a little indention. And so these are zinnia seeds, and zinnia seeds are flat but also pretty big. So with that being said, I do use my nails to get them. I'll just do it just like this with my nails and drop it into that hole. Now I picked the wrong seeds to give y'all that show. These are the Zinnia Envy that I just showed you all. So let's go ahead and do that in the correct container so we don't get them mixed up. Zinnia Envies are very pretty. Like the green color is beautiful. So we're just going to drop them down into that little hole that I just made. And I am dropping 2, like I said. That's for germination purposes. So the reason that I'm planting 2 seeds in each hole, you can plant 1. There's no rule of how many seeds that you have to plant. I'm planting 2 because I want to make sure I get germination. Like I said, my seeds are pretty old. As seeds age, germination rates drop. The seeds still work. I have very old seeds and I still plant them and they still germinate. But for the purpose of making sure I get at least 1 in each sale, you know, that's the hope. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. I plant at least 2 seeds. And if they're really old, I may plant more than 2 seeds. But these aren't super old. These are, well, they're not super new either. So these seeds are from 2022. So not super new, but not super old either. So I'm putting 2 in there either way. So let's finish planting out the zinnias. And we did drop back. We're not gonna do this Cupid mix, mostly because I don't wanna do a whole, sorry about the wind, it's very windy today. I don't wanna do a whole other 10-20 tray just for 1, or I just don't want that 1 straggler. So we're not going to do the Cupid mix, but we have plenty zinnias to go around the garden. And I've gotten questions about where I purchase my seeds from. I am not married to one seed company. With that being said, some of the seed companies that I do purchase from is M.I. Gardner, Baker's Creek, Botanical Interest, Kids Seed Co., Burpees, which is, you know, I get that from a local big box store. I'm not just married to one. So Southern Seed Exchange, love them too. Mary's Heirloom, I always talk about her, love her too. I get a lot of my medicinal seeds from Mary's Heirloom. And I have not pre-moistened my soil like I told y'all the last time. It's a good idea to have it pre-moistened, but I also have the ability to just bottom water. And so that's what I do. It's not a big deal to me. By the way, if you've never grown these candy cane zinnias, they are so pretty. I grew them last year for the first time. I thought they were the prettiest little flowers. I do like having flowers in my garden. I want to start trying more flowers. So flowers that kind of cluster, if that makes sense. For whatever reason, I think they're beautiful in other people's gardens, but for whatever reason, I never grow them. And I'm going to next year. I'm not going to try to switch up the plan this year. Because it's already planned. So we're not going to do that. But next year, I'm going to think about growing more cluster flowers. If you have a cluster flower option that you really love, tell me down in the comments so that next year I can think about doing some more cluster flowers that could be pretty. And I know they make really good cut flowers too, but for whatever reason, I'm not drawn to them. I like the bigger flowers. I almost bought another rose bush the other day. I said, well, where would you put the rose bush? Leave that rose bush in the store. And I did. I left it in the store, but I wanted it, y'all. I definitely wanted it. So our zinnias are planted out now. I need to be putting some gloves on. My nails still look pretty good. They still look real good, so we not trying to mess them up. All right, on to the coxcombs. They are pretty small seeds. I don't know. Let me see if I can get them to the end. Coxcomb seeds are pretty small, so my indention is not going to be very big. I'm literally just going to kind of move the soil around if you can see that. And then I'm gonna drop the seed down and cover it back up because they are very small seeds. I don't even think I'm gonna try to get it in my hand. I'm just gonna try to drop them. And I'm still gonna do 2. They're very small. Oh, did way more than 2 in that one. It's okay. These are older seeds as well. So we're just gonna drop them and then put the soil over top of it, just like that. Not doing too much with the coxcombs because, like I said, very small seeds. And so that's the whole thing with like seed sowing. You don't want to sow it too deep, but you also don't want to sow it too shallow. The packet is going to tell you. I don't really read the packets much unless it's something that I have not grown before, and then I want to make sure I'm doing it because sometimes you need light for a seed to germinate. Sometimes you need the seed to go through a cold period. Sometimes you need the seed to be scratched. There are certain things that you may need, but like I said, none of these have that stipulation on them, and so with that being said, we're not going to worry about it. Coxcomb seeds, pretty large seeds. So we're going to do kind of the same thing that we did with the zinnias. Make an indentation and drop the seeds down in the soil. Now these are seeds that I saved. It's pretty easy to save coxcomb seeds. I was sitting on the porch one day, like tired, completely tired. And if you have seen my back porch, you know the screen is torn. And I saw the flower and I was like, I'm sure there's seeds in there. And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna sit here and save seeds. So I was pulling the flowers through my torn screen and I was saving seeds, and that is what these are that I'm saving right here. And what is said is the more you save seeds from your garden, the more they are acclimated to your area. So I do try to save seeds. I don't do it as well as I should, but I do try to do it. All right, so we have done the hollyhocks. We are now moving on to the marigolds. Beautiful flower. Gets really big. Kilimanjaro white marigold. I mean, it's a beautiful flower. I have not had like the best luck with it, but I think it's where I have been planting them. Also, saving seeds from marigolds is very, very easy. And so this is what they look like little sticks. They look like little sticks. But they also germinate very easily, and these are from 2022 as well. So of course we're gonna do 2, and let me show you the size hole I make. So for these, we're just gonna do like a little shallow one that's a little bit longer. This is just what I do, y'all. You can throw these seeds in here and the seeds gonna want to germinate. They are. So it's not too much to it, but just like that. That's all I'm doing, and then I'm gonna cover them back up. But if you want a flower that you literally get thousands of seeds from one flower, a marigold is a good one for that. That wind is kicking outside. It is kicking. I also think my neighbor is doing something too, but the wind has something to do with it. And now I'm just going back and covering them up with the soil. Maybe push them down a little bit, making sure they're covered. That's all I'm doing. So we got one more marigold, and then it's on to the tomato. All right, on to the tomatoes, the biggest part of this. The tomatoes, I cannot wait, y'all. I can't wait to eat some fresh tomatoes. It's gonna be such a beautiful garden. There's a saying, it says to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. Gardening is one of the things that makes me want to like see the next season. Like I always am like, yes, I'm gonna do this next season, I'm gonna do that next season. It gives me something to look forward to. And I'm very happy that I have gotten into gardening. I'm really, really happy. Now, to plant these 17 varieties tomatoes. Like I said, much less variety this year, still more than likely the same number of plants. All right, so these are all of my tomatoes. Kind of the same situation. I'm gonna do an indention. Tomatoes are decent sized seeds, so we're just gonna do indentions like this, and we're gonna drop all the seeds that we need down in here, and we are definitely 100% gonna have to separate, which is fine. But this is a much easier way to get it planted out too. Let's go with the mortgage lifter first, because that's my first one. We're just gonna go down the lines to make it easier for me to remember if I planted it or not. My mortgage lifter, according to my book, I need 3. These actually are seeds from last year, so I'm just gonna do 4 because they're newer seeds, and maybe we'll do 5. That there's tomato seed math. We drop them all down in there. My next is the Great White. And these seeds are from, I don't see the year on it. It's fine. We need to, we're gonna put 4 because I know they are older. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do to plant these tomatoes out. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna come back to y'all when we leave out of the greenhouse to go and harvest some collards. We don't have a lot, and then I can show y'all the garden too. I don't know that I've shown it in like the last few videos because I know Friday's video was inside. We can look at the garden too. Pineapple, I only want 2, so these are definitely older seeds. We're gonna do 4. And again, if I get these seedlings and I don't want to get rid of them, I'll just plant them into something where I can share with other people. Maybe get somebody to start growing. Who knows? All right, these are the Homestead tomatoes, and these are newer seeds. I think somebody sent me these seeds. They are from 24. With that being said, I need 3. I'm gonna plant 5. All right, let me get these seeds planted and then I will come back to see y'all. Okay, y'all, so we have finished this. Everything is planted out. We're gonna take it in the house. That's where it will be getting watered at. I went and grabbed a basket, my heated gloves. I know someone is somewhere in some very cold climate, Canada, up north in America, saying, this girl is crazy. But listen, it's 40-some degrees, but the weather says it feels like 37. I cannot. I just cannot. So I went and grabbed my heated gloves. Yes, and I got a basket and I put a coat on and we gonna go harvest these little bit of collards that we have. It's very bright out here, so sorry. Y'all see that wind? Oh, it's so windy too. It's windy and it's cold. I also need to check for chicken eggs today too. I haven't done that for the morning, but right now we're gonna take these few leaves that we are getting because the plants are trying to help me out a little more, just like the chickens. I'm sure there's some eggs in there. This is what they call cut and come again. So I'm just taking the leaves and I'm gonna leave the stem, and I can put this with dinner tonight. We got a few we can take. Like I said, they're kind of small, but still edible. Just wanna leave a few leaves. Like this one is a decent size. We love that for me. And I didn't grab nothing, like no chair, no nothing, because I'm not gonna be out here that long. Literally just taking these few leaves because we're gonna eat them with dinner. This is one that didn't really get off the ground, but it's trying, and I'm fine with that. But also, quick look at the garden. Those are the seedlings. We put them outside, so they are just sitting here chilling. We got down into, I want to say, the 20s last night, maybe 30, I'm not sure. But they survived the night. We love that for me. And that's the garden beds. Things are still living. If I liked, oh, you know what, y'all? I should take some of these broccoli leaves. They don't have a lot of broccoli leaves on them, but I should try and mix them in. Y'all told me to do that. I might do that. But anyway, there you have it. Kale's trying to come back. Looking good over here again. Broccoli plants. Bed in the middle. Bed over there. That's the best I got. It's cold. We about to go see if we got some eggs, and we're going in the house. We are going in the house. Oh my God. I can't feel my toes. The girls. The girls, the girls, the girls. Hey y'all, they've already had treats today. This is later in the day. I came out earlier today for them. Yep, we got 4 back there. Y'all see them? I left the basket outside. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.